World Elite and RNG, two of the more restrained teams in those opening shots there. But nothing restrained about how RNG have been going about business this season. They're 3-1, have a chance to lead at the end of this phase and ban out the opponent of their choice for the next 3 weeks. But there was also nothing restrained about what YouLove did to Zhou Lang yesterday with his Zoo deck. He played 4 Scrap Imps just from opening turns and absolutely destroyed him. And YouLove, no surprise, going back to the Zoo today, try and get everything over with quickly. But he's walked into KylinS Zoo, and Kylin has the Scrap Imp in hand. Gonna go with Kylin. I understand it could be KylinS or KylinS, but for now, Kylin seems, until somebody corrects me, to be the correct way to use his name. He does have the Scrap Imp available to him, of course, and it's a big deal. And although YouLove's hand looks okay, Scrap Imp's what it's all about. You just want to have bigger things than your opponent. Has kept himself something to do on turn 1. No coin available, so would like to at least get something down. And might be absolutely crucial to him to do that. As he is walking into a coin, Scrap Imp. And you know when your opponent keeps it. Yes. Don't, you've got YouLove. Yesterday you did this 3 times in a row. You have absolutely no recourse on this one. You reap what you sow and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, while his opponent's coining out a card that doesn't do anything for 2 turns, YouLove is just occupying the board, trying to get as much going on as he can. And it's given Kylin a bit of a pain to worry about. You don't really want to spend 2 mana on an evil genius just for nothing to happen. Can't destroy a minion. But also you want to have the absolute maximum available to you when the Scrap Imp comes out of being dormant. And this does challenge one opposing minion. And very soon you should be able to catch back up with Voidwalker. As well as the Beaming Cyber to make that bigger and some just generally big minions. Well, YouLove's got to set up what he wants to now. Magic Carpet seems like a good thing to just play out to me. Because next turn at least he'll have some 1-drops to be able to rush into opposing minions with the buffs. The way to beat the Scrap Imp is to ride it out and remove all of the minions that it buffed, and then the game becomes fair again. And he is doing a lot of damage in the meantime too. So now the power of the Scrap Imp will enter the game. And the fact it's a 3-3 in its own right is also really annoying. Kylin didn't seem too happy about picking up the Hand of Gul'dan there, but it's got enough ways to activate it. That will work out fine. Maybe I just misread his reaction. He has absolutely plenty going on here. Just a case of working out where to put that buff. Do you want one huge minion? I think you do. But also the option to have 2 pretty big minions might have been a better option for trading. So I understand the pause. But this just takes all the options away from YouLove. He only has the option to run the first minions into this Voidwalker, which protects the rest of his board. Seems good to me. Now Kylin trying to work out if he's ever going to need this ping. Whether he just wants to play the Battle Mage. Nice problem to have. Divine Shield does get procced on the Voidwalker reasonably easily, but he thinks it's okay. I think I might have wanted to play that on a turn where I'm attacking into my opponent, so I can work out how best to use the Divine Shield. I suspect that playing the Battle Mage was better here, but I don't want to fight it. This means that the Voidwalker's a little bit harder. It forces the carpet in there in some situations. But this is the better use, right? This is the use where you get to use your Divine Shield how you want, and that's a big deal. This is one of the first times we've seen Kylin in at least recent time, but he did win the pro group in Nanjing as far back as 2016. So very accomplished player. As are all of RNG. Lee has impressed me immensely already. And Lee we've seen in a couple of championship events. And I think they're just getting better. RNG definitely, not from this sample size of 4 matches where they're 3-1, but along with VK they do feel like a team to watch. And obviously we know how strong Liquid are, but they don't seem to be getting it done at the moment. Okay, this presents an interesting problem. You're obviously putting your Scrap Imp into the carpet every time here. Do you want to tap and keep ahead on value, or do you just want to play Zephyrus and the Battle Mage? Okay. Seems that tapping was a good plan. You do want to play the Battle Mage here though. Protect the 3-2 in your hand and just lose the 2-2 instead. Oh no, the Battle Mage is bigger than that though, right? It's actually a lot bigger, so... Losing track of what's been buffed and what hasn't. You can see the impact though that it makes having the early Scrap Imp. I mean, everybody understands that anyway. It's not a complicated concept. If I make my things bigger, they will be bigger. But it's shown out here in plain sight. Everything has been destroyed on the board, and Kylin has 3 more cards than his opponent. But YouLove did a very good job of at least getting into the game, giving himself a chance to turn it around. But one of the unseen problems that happens when you don't draw your Scrap Imp early is you draw it in this situation. And if YouLove was to pick up, say, a Scrap Imp now, the chances of it having an impact on the game are pretty slim. It just is a card that's not doing anything for 2 turns. Now into the back and forth of the game, you want your cards to do things immediately. Does have that very slight health advantage, but this Nightshade Matron will eliminate all of that and more. And that looks like the beginning of the end for YouLove. Unless the next 2 cards he picks up are like Nightshade Matron and Hand himself, maybe. Kind of just working out where he wants to put the damage. Taking it a bit steady. This works. And as you can see, the end is in sight for this first game. And seems to be we're watching a lot of Zoo in the last day or 2. It's his last hero standing, so Kylin, presuming he wins this, will get to use this Zoo again from a 1-0 lead. And I'm writing it. I'm being brave. I'm putting this on my scorepad, because you probably heard me wrecking the room around me whilst doing so. Yeah, good luck, YouLove. Not quite sure what would save you here, even if we gave you like every card in Hearthstone to choose from. Some sort of Shadow Flame shenanigans? I don't know. I guess this setup gives you the best chance you're going to get. It's just going through the motions, I think. So far, your own face seems to be the only way out here. Okay. You get 3 more cards. But none of these 3 cards remove an entire board full of minions. And he's just hoping that Kylin misses it at this point. But Kylin spots the lethal and goes 1-0 up. See the lineups there. Priest and Demon Hunter left for World Elite. Royal Never Give Up still with all of their full complement of decks. And it is going to be the Demon Hunter coming out for YouLove. As you can see, the pre-nerf Demon Hunter, Sigil Runner. Still a healthy looking 2-1 on the left hand side of the hand there. And when it has this start, Demon Hunter can be pretty brutal, but talking of brutal, look at Kylin's hand. Not only has he got Scrap Imp again, but look at the surrounding friends and family. Just the cards you'd want. You can ping away Sigil Runners, you can buff things. Absolutely everything a fine Zoo man would want. And sometimes Zoo just makes Demon Hunter look slow. And Demon Hunter is obviously not slow. Not a lot to do this turn though. It's all about whether you want to risk your Signal Runner getting pinged down in return for getting 2 cards from the Spectral Sight and doing nothing this turn, or do you want to develop and basically float a mana, putting 1 point of damage to the enemy face. You've seen how the last game ends. The singular point of damage likely makes no difference. And so YouLove does decide in fact to spend his mana. Now Kylin has the wonderful, wonderful problem of deciding whether to develop some of these 1-drops or not. But just decides to expire Merchant to get double Matron. So playing a slightly longer game than maybe I was looking at. If he gets in a position where he gets to use those double Matrons, or one of them, because it will probably discard the other, then yeah. This is what he's given up though. He's given the Demon Hunter a bit of time to get established on the board. This is the downside of the route he's taken. The upside is he's going to get a lot of value in those mid-turns when the Demon Hunter's slapping you with Adepts and such like. And the other upside is that 3 cards now get buffed. And the game is on. The race is afoot. Or something's afoot. The game's afoot. Does have the chance to sidekick this, but he wants it to die so he can pick up the double Matron. This is just going to be a ginormous, terrifying board. And again, YouLove, you did this to somebody yesterday. How does it feel? I think the answer, could he hear me? I think the answer I might hear would be something like, unpleasant, I don't like it. Certainly how I feel when somebody zoos me. A lot of breakpoints to consider here. Adept in particular doing the 4 damage when it comes into play is something that gives you good reason to buff your 3 health minions, but then a Beaming Psychic can bump into it, take off 1 of their health, so none of this is straightforward, even though it looks it. He's working out breakpoints, he's working out just the exact best distribution that he feels for the health totals for how the game will unfold. And also has on his mind, to some degree, playing around Altruist. That's one of the ways that you can lose this as a zoo after this start. If your opponent has double Twin Slice and Altruist, for instance, or more realistically, maybe a turn 6 Altruist and some bits and pieces. This is kind of a non-turn though. Setting up some really good turns for the next few turns, but this particular turn is a little grim. But needs does as needs must, or something, something. I think that's the phrase. And YouLove has managed to take care of a lot of the board. And because of how he set up the Umberwing, will have the opportunity to adept something next turn as well. Or will he? Yeah, Kylin's been given a decision here. Obviously he was just going to play a Matron, run it in, make some trades, have the board, and be miles in front. And he may still do that. But now he has the option to blow up the weapon. He's just seen a Twin Slice and Second Slice both used up. So there is the opportunity, and I'm not saying it's an easy one, to make this read that your opponent has left up the Umberwing charge to play a Glavebound next turn. And should he choose to blow up this weapon, just tap here and make some developing plays. This might go really well for him. Look at just how awful YouLove's hand would be. But also, there's a lot to be said for just matroning and having minions everywhere. Really curious to see which one he goes with. He's going to go for it. I think this is nice to see. I think it's easy to see from where we are. It's obvious. But it's not so obvious when you've got a minute under pressure at the table and you can't actually see if your decision is correct or not. But he's going to get the message that it is correct because YouLove has nothing to do this turn because of it. Unless he top decks something good here. And that's pretty decent. At least gives him some play to keep on the board. But KylinS' turn there, spectacular. It also gave him an extra chance to tap into or draw into next turn his Hand of Gul'dan, which would protect his second matron and get him a load more cards, but both parts of that equation are important. And YouLove now, with the mana burn, this is his opportunity, I guess, but there is the Hand of Gul'dan. KylinS in a great spot. What exactly would you like to do? Yep, turning to attack, but that does give YouLove an Adept into the Divine Shield. Sorry, attack into the Divine Shield, an Adept to take down the 7/4, and a value trade of your choice with your minion. Which isn't a bad turn, especially when it's followed up with the same sort of thing again next turn. But obviously KylinS with his, I was going to say double matron, but it's triple matron. Should be in a good position to continue having the advantage. Considering the value trade. Let's have a look. Forces one more damage to face. First of all, you can just do the obvious trades. The minions trading with the thing in front of them. That looks fine. You get a couple of minions versus nothing. But also was the option to value trade the 5/5 into this 2/1. Put the 1 damage to face. And you've still got a matron next turn. But with Zoo, however it's built, whatever year you're living in, it's almost always been right. Trade everything away, draw some more stuff, do it again, draw some more stuff, keep doing that, and eventually your opponent runs out of health, runs out of ways to keep giving you problems, and then you just flood them with a massive wide board, and that's the end of the game. So KylinS using sensible, well-known Zoo strategies. YouLove wants to use this Spectral Sight, but I guess that's fine. That means he gets to play his weapon. Keep his Adept for more exciting things in future turns. Interested to see if he just leaves the Argent Squire. It seems like too much hassle to get rid of it. And obviously the face damage with Metamorphosis in hand does give him a variety of 2-turn lethal. 6 damage to face from the weapon, 10 damage from the Metamorphosis, 4 damage from the Gladebound Adept. That's more than 18. So we are reaching the crucial part of this game, and possibly the match. If KylinS goes 2-0 up, might be no stopping him. He chooses to tap there. Now we know the clock is a quick one because of Metamorphosis, but that's how Demon Hunter is when it gets to this part of the game. And that's not setting up much of a 2-turner. Right, can YouLove set up lethal without facing lethal? He'll want to do it with a Soulfire in mind, if possible. You can give your opponent credit for having a Soulfire in hand, although you know about the matrons, so you know about one of the matrons. I think the other was tapped into afterwards, actually. So yeah, you've got to credit Soulfire a little bit. But yeah, he's setting it up. He is setting it up. He thinks he's got this. I think he might be right. It's going to be 10 points to the face, and next turn 1 plus 5 is 6. That's plenty. That's just with the hero powers. That's without glaive bounds and other nonsenses. What will he be down to? 11 to see 5 on the board. That still leaves you 6 to play with. There's not really wealths of buffs available usually. Obviously there's ways of attacking with your Fiendish Servant and then killing it and buffing something else and attacking with that. That's the sort of thing that can happen. But none of those things are available in hand. No, that's just not it. It's not it. YouLove's going to get it done with the Adept and the Metamorphosis. As long as he orders the turn correctly. And I feel like Kylin, somewhere in the middle there, should have just played a Matron, of course it's a 5-5. That's my gut instinct on the matter. YouLove making sure it doesn't target a minion. Well, I say that, nearly hits the carpet. But he goes to 1 game all, and I'm not sure if Kylin was right there. Maybe I'm being harsh. Very hard without a way of checking back through to see exactly how harsh I'm being. But it is 1 game apiece. And now we're into the Warrior versus the Demon Hunter. And so far, going into queue order. And should the Warrior win this, we'll probably see the Priest queue into it. And it might come down to a game 5 of Rogue versus Priest. And those Rogue versus Priest games can take a long time. But a long way to go first. There's Hearthstone to be played. This is why we play the matches. And a lovely looking curve here for YouLove. Risky skipper. Oh, and this is a huge deal as well. Picking up the cash. Having the 3 attacks instead of the 2 is the big deal on the weapon. Plus it thins your deck and gets you guaranteed second skipper and all that. But the big deal is just the ability to be a little bit liberal with your weapon usage. I always like getting the Ankar in first. It thins your deck. You don't really need the lackeys yet, although they are handy. But they're a little bit more useful later when you know what you want to take from Discover options and such like. So just anchoring stuff down to stop yourself from drawing as many pirates as well. You want to draw into the good stuff. You want to draw into Armorsmith. You want to draw into everything else. I'm trying to think of a good example and can't because my brain works like that. One more Challenger, for instance. So just get all that cheap gubbins out of your deck and draw into your good stuff. You can take a bit of damage. And sometimes you go wrong a little bit, turns 5 and 6 in the mid game. Bad things can happen to you. The other thing with setting it up last turn is you can now go face, and I don't know if there's a green skin in this deck. I don't have accurate lists for this week. I feel like there isn't, but maybe if there is, that's why he's worrying, because if he was guaranteed to get a 1-drop here, he would just anchor in the face. So this pause makes me think there is a green skin. This won't be an ongoing issue, it's just an issue for a couple of the decks this week. Like they're listed as a hunter instead of their zoo, for instance. And in fact, the listing I have says this is Bomb Warrior. Let's go with that. Nothing obviously denies that right now. Yes, it does. The live wire lance. So yeah, the list I have is incorrect. And so... Wait. Okay. That was by choice. Otherwise he would have attacked first and see if he got the skipper, so... He wants to preserve the chance to clear for later on. Always nice when you can tidy up your 5 drops as Demon Hunter. Being able to play this into the Warglaives is a big deal, and the Warrior's struggling. Armorsmith alert. So risky, Armorsmith, Sky Raider, No, risky Armor Smith. Second risky Sky Raider. Gains you 1,000,000 armor and kills everything. And then you just take your chance, right? Look at the hand he's got. Really? I'm just staring at this because I'm wondering if I've gone a little bit crazy. But my play would have gained something like 10 armor. I'm not going to exactly calculate it because I'll get it wrong. Cleared the board. Left your opponent with 4 cards. Left you with Blood Boil Brutes and enough health to get on with things in your life. There's 5 mana, so it was possible. This isn't it. Last game I wasn't sure if my criticism was founded, but this is not the play. Because now your Armor Smith next turn is just not very good. Okay. I don't mind being harsh on players. I'm a little bit more reticent to be harsh on players when I'm solo, but that just looked like an awful turn of Hearthstone. Let's see how it works out for him. Usually that's the way forward. Here's all the armour, which is a similar number to what he would have gained the other way, but there's still more to come here. And maybe it works for him. He doesn't look very happy about the situation. Maybe, I mean, it is nerve-wracking, so maybe it's just nerve-wracking, or maybe he has thought of the play I saw and considered it to be better. He tanked to 6 as well in that turn. Both skippers are down. So that's a reasonable sized deal. Something to worry about a little bit. Now he has to do it the old-fashioned way with normal Hearthstone things. YouLove wondering whether to develop a 2-1 without drawing a card. Got a handful of card draw. I think that developing it makes sense. It's not the most instinctive play, so I can see why he's taking his time. But yeah, you challenge a 3-2 with a 2-1. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Nice play, sort of play you can definitely miss in a hurry. And Kylen looks a little bit flustered to me. And he's still fine. You can play a brute and an egg and just trade things around. And you're still in an okay situation. Is there anything even better? You can't injure any more minions, so your brute is always 5. Choosing to go for the Corsair Clash instead, which is reasonable. The egg doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. YouLove managing to have a fairly cheap turn. Plan must be to freeze the brute here. He's going to freeze the face, deciding that he's just going to Altruist the brute if needed. This does deny resources for the warrior, so freezing face, certainly in the mirror freezing face is always great, but in this it's a good vision play to freeze the face. Assuming he has a good backup plan. It's going to work out quite nicely for Kylen because getting to Terron here on a very nearly dead brute seems pretty good. And this game is going to come down to if YouLove can get a crazy Altruist, I think. So I think he should be looking to play this skull here and hoping for a monstrous Altruist next turn, unless he feels that he can get something out of this turn with the cards he just picked up. Not an easy decision. And he may even want to go 2 turns. Will he be dead in 2 turns? Well, unlikely. Kylin could just do a lot of damage from hand using Inner Rage and Mercenaries. We've seen a Mercenary. And Corcoran. I think we've seen a Corcoran too. He can do 12 with the Grom. And YouLove is going for the massive power play. Will it be the pretty big power play next turn, or will it be the monstrous one the turn after? Well, this seems to answer that. This seems to say you've got to go for it next turn. I don't think he's going to get 16 damage in, though. Maybe if he draws a slice, he will. Because he gets 4 from the Adept at the end of all that. No, not quite enough mana. No, it's just not going to be enough here. I don't think he can prevent lethal. So, maybe I was wrong. Maybe. But I feel like I wasn't. Anyway, either way, you now either think I'm rubbish or KylinS rubbish. And I know which one of those two I would choose if I was put on the spot. Not all over, though, for World Elite, even if they do lose this game, which is looking likely, unless there's some crazy combination of I-beams after the skull that I'm missing. Especially with the information we have of Grom being in hand. But then it's Priest time. Well, you would assume it's Priest time, it's their only deck left. So, yeah. YouLove can't find anything he likes, and even if he wants to Altruist, it might even be too late now. So, this is kind of what you do, though, to make sure you haven't miscounted. It's a mile off, like, it's not even close. But when you've got Twin Slicers and stuff like that in your hand with Altruist, and you think you haven't got lethal, but it might be close, just play it out, because that damage adds up at double rate for Twin Slicers. And just sometimes you feel that, you know, you've miscounted and you can kill them. Sometimes even significantly more easily than you realise. But YouLove, once again, is not here for conceding. He always makes his opponent kill him. And it goes to 2-1 to RNG. Chance to go 4-1 in the league. So how the banning process works, because Priest versus Warrior takes a while. At the end of this week, week 3, the team with the best record gets first pick of the team they don't want to play against for the 3 weeks following. You play 2 teams a week, there's 7 other weeks, you can only play 6 of them. So you get to pick the one you don't play in the schedule. And then the second place team gets the next pick, and so on. It's just a nice little tweak. Rather than just having a random schedule, let the teams earn the right to ban somebody. And of course then it gets a little bit more complicated, because if you're the best team, do you want to ban the second best team? Or do you want to ban the third best team and let the second best team ban you? Because they really don't want to play you. As much as you don't want to play them, they really don't want to ban you. So the first place, it's not a massive deal with all the teams being pretty equal, but it's a nice touch. And I certainly welcome ways to encourage any kind of interaction between teams in Hearthstone. Make people make a decision based on teams. One of the things I'd love to see in playoffs in general, in top 8s, whatever, is the person who's top of the Swiss or top of the whatever, depending on the exact event, and I think this happens in StarCraft, or used to, gets to pick who their first opponent is. Force them to get off the fence. Yeah, we know you all like each other, you're all friends, we get it. Hearthstone players are nice people, you want to be friends with all of them. But cause a bit of friction, okay. You won the Swiss, well done, your friends are 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Pick which one you think you can beat the easiest. Meanwhile, back to the game in progress. Priest versus Warrior, one of the more important matchups in Last Hero Standing Hearthstone. Because it quite often comes to the point that the reason the Warrior is left up is because of this matchup, and it is by no means a thrashing of a matchup. So in the world where the Warrior wins, The priest strategy just falls apart. You can see actually they will lose the match because of it if that happens this time. And in the world where the priest wins, well, they've got rid of the warrior for little damage, which means they've been able to ban the demon hunter out, and that in turn means they've gained an advantage because they've got rid of the 2 best class in the game for a 1-1 record. And obviously that's a good deal because now you're fighting with your good classes in theory versus their weaker ones. It's not a strategy I'm a massive fan of, and I'm not a massive fan of it because I don't think the priest is that favoured in this matchup. It does depend on the exact warrior build. This build with the eggs is pretty decent against priest, although you have to be very careful with the egg because if it gets stolen, bad things can happen to you. But in general, that is the reason they're doing it. And it also depends how good you think Demon Hunter is. I think Demon Hunter is really good, because it is. But I don't necessarily think it's as good as some of these players seem to think it is. That being said, it's had 3 rounds of nerfs, and this match took place before the 3rd round. So who knows? Keep my wits about me, and actually going for the early apotheosis. This is a good thing for RNG. The apotheosis is your way of healing back from 16, let's say, like making numbers up. And so if you're using your apotheosis early to get the board control had better work, and it might well do here, because if it doesn't work, you've used an apotheosis. You've probably wasted 10 points of healing, something like that, doing that. Because you've used it to make your minion big and scary rather than to heal yourself. And again, that's perfectly legitimate, but you'd better make sure it works. Well, chance to play the challenger into the egg and just trade it off with the Mind Flayer Courage. Who wants to go that way? Or just make some stuff and hit your opponent and make them react to you. Which is what it seems like he's going to do. Yeah, take 9. Sure. You don't usually see this game pan out this way, but that's where it's going. Kylie needs to make some decisions here. Making sure he gets to armor up, that's scary. Apotheosis for YouLove. And I'm giggling a little bit because that allows him to steal things and kill people with them. It's not quite there, but yeah, this could be close if he steals a two attack minion at some point and just puts Apotheosis on it and smacks somebody in the face. What's the best way to do this though? He's definitely going to look to continue to expand this board, because why wouldn't you? Definitely need to keep the Apotheosis, because the chances are that although this attack looks great and you've got all this tempo on your side, it could well peter out, and you know that. Spoiled for choice is the main issue here. Every time I glance across his hand, every single card has some merit in this position. So I understand the problem there. And even the Galacron, like, do you want to play it or don't you? He's going to kill the egg. Is that really where you want to be? But a 6/6 against Warrior, who, should he use his weapon on it, is going to hurt, is possibly just enough. Warriors don't like dealing with the big minions. They deal with big minions by killing the opponent so their minions can't hit you. Which is a pretty good strategy. And sure, you can draw a lot of cards now. That's what he's going to do. It's what you need to do against Priest. But this has been a very strange game. It's like living in backwards world. There's some nice pickups though. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful Battle Rage. That could be enough to get Kylin right back into this. Or get into it. I don't think you can get back into something you've never been in. And for the first time in the game, actually finishes the turn in a clearly superior board position. He stemmed the tide of damage a little bit. But the Sethek Veilweaver gives YouLove yet another turn full of options. Sethek into Penance just feels like a fantastic starting point. Although he does have available the Shadow Madness on the Risky Skipper, which you can then trade into the Brute. That might be better. You still get to get your Sethek activated, and you just get a good use out of this Shadow Madness. You get to keep your Penance. He agrees. So what I believe is Renew. Can cast that on a fully healthy minion if he wants. He might want to play it on the egg, weirdly. Just to stop any rampages being played on the egg. The reason I mention it like that is because you just want to get the most out of this Sethek that you can. That is the second Apotheosis used. In theory, the second of two, but sometimes Priest gets the same thing many, many times. As I'm sure any regular players are well aware. So 14 damage available from hand to face with Grom. And then it gets Shadow Word Deathed and you feel very silly. But it's there. It's worth keeping an eye on. If you can deal with the Sethek, you have got rid of both of the Apotheosises. That gives you a license to chip away damage without being scared that it's going to get healed all the way back up. Also means you can ignore some smaller boards that you couldn't ignore before. The point of copying the egg here would be to get a better Battle Rage. If that's what you feel saves you. You've got to decide if you want to attack first if you're going down that route. If you're going to attack first, you have to decide whether you're going to play the Pirate first, and so on. But Kylin decides he wants to have a Grom on the board. And this is just going to get insta-deathed. YouLove looking for better options. There was an option he wouldn't have minded a moment ago when he had the Shadow Madness in hand. If he gets a second one, stealing the egg and Terroning it would be amusing. But despite all the damage he's done, he hasn't managed to advance his Grommash. He hasn't got a way of finishing the game. And he has run out of healing from Apotheosises. Plenty more healing where that came from, of course. But for now, no immediate end to the game in sight. And actually choosing to crack open the egg by choice. I guess that's what a choice is. Something you choose. Well done, me. Alright. Well, Kylen has decided this is his moment. If there's a Soul Mirror, he's going to lose the game right now. If there's not a Soul Mirror, he's going to start pushing for lethal damage. And given the way this game has gone so far, this doesn't feel like a terrible decision to me. Shadow Word Death, this feels like a terrible decision to me. Joking aside, I think he may have not given up, but may have set his stall out the turn before when he played the Grommash to set this up. It's not the worst time to go for it. He knows the opposing Galakron has not been advanced. The longer he waits, the more that Galakron will just kill your things. So I understand where he's coming from, at least, on this. looking to heal up. Pyromancer. And takes what I believe is a Plague of Death. Plague of Death and Resurrect, Mass Resurrect sort of looks so similar, but I've got a fairly good view of the picture there. I'm pretty sure it's Plague of Death. Not only that, he's cleared up the whole board. Not only that, that any future boards are fine, and not only that, he's on 26 health. So any combo-y stuff that there isn't much left to see, to be honest, will not kill him. And it looks like we're going to go to game number 5 between Priest and Rogue, and that can take a while. You might want to get your cup of coffee or your popcorn or whatever you watch Hearthstone with. Earplugs, whatever. You might want to get it ready now. Kylin presenting another board, but certainly not over. Obviously, you can see that plague from where we are, and we know that Kylin's running out of threats. It does look bad for him. Time Rip makes it more than bad, because now he gets to advance the Galakond. So it's not just the saving of the plague, it's also gives Galakond a purpose in life. It also protects your plague and also obviously kills a minion. There's so many good things about that one pickup for YouLove, who seems to have been very tidy in both of the matches I've seen this time around. I remember him as being steady from back in the day, but he has 5 years experience since then. And he does look like he's not doing anything particularly wrong. So we'll see how he goes on in phase 2. Well, we've got to see how he gets on today first, but definitely a player I want to keep an eye on. It's very easy to get set in your ways and expect him to be... Again, steady's not an insult, but it's an insult if you're comparing to the best in the world, I guess. Just getting that feeling that maybe he's put a bit of work in to sort of step up to the next level. He's obviously doing something right. He's been on the same team for forever now. That's actually one of the weird things about how the team championship works, is that there is no promotion and relegation as such. If you're signed by a team, you're in. Obviously there is the scope for more teams to be added to the championship in future years, and obviously if you're not performing for your team, there's a chance your team will let you go. Esports teams have never been scared to adjust their rosters, just like real sports teams. Just made that renew to be absolutely sure there. No benefit in saving it other than surprise value, and much more useful to just get your 1 mana spent. Kylin down to just 5 cards in deck. And Morazon just looks like it's going to set up a good position for YouLove to me, but maybe he won't even bother. Maybe he's just going to get to the point where he kills off every single card and Kylin has to concede rather than waiting through fatigue. This certainly looks like a desperation move. Can see though that the plan is copy anything you can with your Terran, which turns out to be one awful lackey. Then next turn you've got the Inner Rage, the Rampage, and the buff with your Mercenary. We'll see. I was just pausing there, checking that was Rampage. Just every now and again you have your moment of doubt when you're looking at pictures you've seen a million times, but when they're not necessarily in the format you're used to. Obviously it's Rampage. Just checked. YouLove taking a moment here. I do wonder if just time ripping this, your opponent's obviously up to something, just rip it and stop them. That's a hard read to make though, and also it's a 3-4, it's a bit rubbish. You can time rip it afterwards, you're not expecting the full combo, although you should be. 5 cards left. But this is better than ripping. It's just the same job, and it's actually kind of cool. I was thinking he would save that for more removal, but this just does the same job. It's also extra armor. You now have, of course, lost the ability to heal. Kylie was hoping for a bit of help from this Discover, and help was not forthcoming. And YouLove preparing himself for game number 5. Been a very interesting game, this one. So from the early turns, YouLove put the warrior on the back foot and forced it to use its units defensively. That is not how this game normally goes, but he saw an opportunity to do it, mainly through the theft of a Korkon Elite, which meant that the pressure was overwhelming and Kylin had to go 1-for-1 with his own Korkon, basically. As he has now picked up combo, which is 18 points of damage available from hand next turn. Let's just go back to looking at the game for a minute, because Kylin can now win this. Depends a little bit on how YouLove wants to try and defend it. But yeah, his early play has put Kylin into this position of having to wait forever. Both Apotheosises went early on. It's kind of a big deal. And YouLove shouldn't die next turn. That's how he's seeing it. I think he's added it up. So he's just going to put stuff on board. It's not a lot, but it is still an 8-8. But, you know, if your mother's under, you're not thinking clearly. And here they all come. YouLove sits back. 2 9-5s. How do you like those, sir? Let me show you them at close up. There's 9. There's 9 more. But it's not lethal. There's damage from hand available, of course, well. Mortal Strike is 6 damage because of the 12 or less health. Kylie might be about to put this one to bed after looking for all the world like YouLove was going to take this.
Whoa, legendary.
Kylin's going to need to get a grip on this stress, by the way. This tournament's going to get more stressful, not less stressful as it goes on. He's playing for a team that's up there in with a good chance. He's definitely going to need to contain it a little. Okay, hopefully YouLove has a better handle on exactly what's going to happen here than I do. I think I know, but we'll see. Okay. But he just can't stop the damage. And am I missing something? Is Kylin just going to take this down next turn with Mortal Strike? That's one very relieved player there for Kylin. Mortal Strike's YouLove, and I've been preparing myself mentally for this Rogue Mirror, but actually RNG just go to 4-1. Kylin getting it done against the odds there in that last game, and RNG top the table along with VK. We'll have some more Hearthstone for you very soon.